Hello everyone and welcome to Bible Teaching Hub. Today, we're diving into a topic that's captivated believers for centuries, the rebuilding of Solomon's temple. Over 90% of biblical prophecies have already come true. The Messiah, Jesus Christ, walked among us, fulfilling ancient promises. These events weren't just historical footnotes. They were pronouncements from God, echoing through time. And among the most significant of these prophecies is the Third Temple. Why is the Third Temple so important? Because it sits at the heart of God's plan for humanity. It's a structure woven into the fabric of biblical prophecy, its foundations laid in Scripture. The Third Temple isn't just a building, it's a symbol of restoration, a testament to God's enduring covenant with His people. The Temple Mount in Jerusalem is a crucible of faith, a place where the hopes and anxieties of the world converge. For Jews, it's the holiest site on earth, a place where God's presence once dwelt in the Holy of Holies. The Temple Mount is a place where history whispers and prophecy speaks, where the past, present, and future collide. The Bible is a symphony of voices, a chorus of prophets speaking across centuries. And when it comes to the Third Temple, one voice rings out with remarkable clarity: the prophet Ezekiel. In the 40th chapter of his book, Ezekiel receives a breathtaking vision, a divine blueprint for a future temple. This isn't just a casual sketch, it's a meticulous, detailed plan, outlining everything from the temple's dimensions to its intricate carvings. Ezekiel's vision isn't just about bricks and mortar, it's about the restoration of God's presence among His people. This wasn't a blueprint for the past, it was a glimpse into the future, a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Now, let's fast forward centuries to the words of Jesus Himself. In Matthew 24:15, Jesus issues a chilling warning, a signpost pointing to the end times. He speaks of an event so horrific, so sacrilegious, that it would send shockwaves through history, the Abomination of Desolation. Some scholars believe it refers to the actions of Antiochus IV Epiphanes, a Syrian king who sacrificed a pig on the altar of the Second Temple in 167 BC. For the Abomination of Desolation to occur, there has to be a temple to desecrate. This prophecy implies the existence of a third temple in the end times, a temple that will become the epicenter of a spiritual battle unlike any other. The Apostle Paul adds another layer to the prophecy of the Third Temple. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3-4, he warns of a coming figure of unparalleled evil, the Antichrist. This individual will be the epitome of arrogance and rebellion, seeking to usurp God's authority and establish his own twisted kingdom. Paul tells us that he will exalt himself in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God. This prophecy underscores the strategic importance of the Third Temple in the end times. It will become a battleground, a stage for the ultimate confrontation between God and the forces of darkness. Now let's shift our focus from the spiritual realm to the geopolitical landscape. The Third Temple isn't just a theological concept, it's a powder keg in the heart of the Middle East. Jerusalem is a city sacred to three major religions, a place where history and faith collide with explosive force. For Jews, Jerusalem is the eternal capital, the city of David. For Muslims, it's the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest place in Islam. The Temple Mount in particular is a flashpoint, a place where even the slightest spark could ignite a firestorm. Imagine, for a moment, the implications of rebuilding the Third Temple. For Jews, it would be a dream fulfilled, a sign of God's faithfulness, and a return to their biblical heritage. But for many Muslims, it would be an act of provocation, a symbolic displacement of their own sacred space. The status of Jerusalem is one of the most contentious issues in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Any attempt to alter the delicate balance of power in Jerusalem, especially on the Temple Mount, would have far-reaching consequences. The potential for violence, even a regional war, cannot be overstated. But the ramifications of the Third Temple extend far beyond the Middle East. They ripple outward, touching every corner of the globe, drawing nations into the vortex of this ancient conflict. For some, The rebuilding of the temple is seen as a fulfillment of biblical prophecy, a sign that the end times are drawing near. Evangelical Christians in particular have played a significant role in supporting Israel's claim to Jerusalem. On the other side of the spectrum, Iran, a staunch opponent of Israel, views the Temple Mount as a rallying point for Muslim unity. The possibility of Iran, with its proxies Hezbollah and Hamas, using the temple issue to incite violence cannot be ignored. The stage is set, my friends, for a showdown of epic proportions. The rebuilding of the Third Temple, if it were to happen, wouldn't be a simple construction project. It would be a seismic event. The question is not whether the world is ready for the Third Temple. The question is whether the world can survive the consequences of its construction. The potential for conflict is real. The stakes are incredibly high, and the outcome is far from certain. We must pray for peace in Jerusalem, for wisdom for its leaders, and for restraint from those who would exploit this situation for their own gain. The Third Temple is a powerful symbol, a reminder that we are living in a world on the brink of profound change. The world is a complex tapestry of nations, each with its own history, ambitions, and alliances. And when it comes to the Third Temple, these alliances become even more entangled. Israel, despite its military might, is a small nation surrounded by larger, often hostile neighbors. Its survival depends on strategic alliances, particularly with the United States, its most powerful benefactor. But even this alliance, once considered unshakable, is showing signs of strain. The rise of anti-Semitism in Europe, coupled with growing criticism of Israel's policies towards the Palestinians, has created a climate of uncertainty. The Third Temple prophecy brings together seemingly disparate groups, uniting them in a common cause. For some, the temple is a religious imperative, a sacred duty to fulfill God's will. For others, it's a political tool, a way to advance their own agendas or consolidate power. Consider the strange bedfellowship between evangelical Christians and right-wing Jewish settlers. While their theological beliefs differ, they share a common goal: the rebuilding of the Third Temple. Their alliance, while seemingly improbable, is a testament to the power of the Third Temple to transcend traditional boundaries. In recent years, a new element has been added to the equation: the Abraham Accords. These historic agreements normalized relations between Israel and several Arab states. On the surface, these accords seem to herald a new era of peace and cooperation in the Middle East. But beneath the veneer of diplomacy, there are deeper currents at play. The accords could create a more favorable climate for the Third Temple. On the other hand, the accords could backfire, exacerbating tensions and pushing the region closer to conflict. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place, my friends, but the picture they're forming is far from clear. The Third Temple, once a distant dream, is now a tangible possibility, a looming reality that is reshaping alliances, fueling ambitions, and igniting passions. But as we've seen, the path to the Third Temple is fraught with danger. Even the slightest misstep could have catastrophic consequences. The Third Temple is not just a building, it's a symbol, a focal point for the hopes and fears of humanity. It's a reminder that we are living in extraordinary times, a time of great upheaval and even greater opportunity. We've explored the geopolitical landscape and the prophetic implications of the Third Temple. To grasp the depth of this issue, we must delve into its religious significance from the perspective of Islam. For Muslims, the Temple Mount is where their faith intersects with their identity. The Dome of the Rock stands as a powerful symbol of Islam's presence in Jerusalem. It's a testament to their belief in the Prophet Muhammad's miraculous night journey. The night journey, also known as the Isra and Miraj, is a pivotal event in Islamic tradition. It's a story that's both miraculous and deeply symbolic, shaping Muslim understanding of their prophet and their place in the world. According to Islamic belief, the Prophet Muhammad, while in Mecca, was visited by the angel Gabriel. Gabriel brought with him a winged steed called Buraq, a creature capable of traveling vast distances in the blink of an eye. Muhammad mounted Buraq, and together they embarked on a miraculous journey, soaring through the night sky to the farthest mosque. This farthest mosque, according to Islamic tradition, is none other than the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. It was here, in this sacred space, that Muhammad is believed to have led all the prophets, including Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, in prayer. The night journey wasn't just a physical journey, it was a spiritual ascent. It was on this journey that Muhammad received the command for Muslims to pray 5 times daily, a practice that remains a fundamental pillar of Islamic faith. Islamic eschatology, like its Jewish and Christian counterparts, includes the belief in a coming messianic figure. This figure, known as the Mahdi, is often depicted as a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, who will appear at the end of times to restore justice and establish a reign of peace. While interpretations of the Mahdi's role vary within Islamic traditions, his connection to Jerusalem and the Temple Mount is undeniable. In many accounts, the Mahdi's arrival is linked to a period of great turmoil and conflict, a time when the world is engulfed in chaos and oppression. Jerusalem, in these narratives, becomes a focal point for this end-times drama. Some believe that the Mahdi will lead a final battle against the forces of evil in Jerusalem, liberating the city and establishing Islamic rule. Others envision the Mahdi as a peacemaker, who will unite people of all faiths under the banner of Islam. Regardless of the specific interpretation, the Temple Mount, as the site of the Prophet Muhammad's night journey and the future arrival of the Mahdi, holds immense eschatological significance in Islam. The religious sensitivities surrounding the Temple Mount have the power to mobilize millions. The possibility of a Jewish temple being rebuilt on a site sacred to Muslims is seen by many as an act of aggression. Outrage would sweep through the Muslim world, fueled by religious leaders and social media. Protests would erupt globally, and the potential for violence would be impossible to contain. The consequences would be catastrophic, plunging the Middle East into chaos and shaking the global economy. The Third Temple could become the catalyst for a global religious war, reshaping the geopolitical landscape. We've explored the potential for conflict and the deep religious sensitivities surrounding the Third Temple, but we must not lose sight of the spiritual significance of this prophecy. For the Jewish people, the Third Temple is a symbol of hope and a promise of restoration. To understand this longing, we must journey back to the First Temple, built by King Solomon. This magnificent structure stood for centuries, a beacon of faith, but it was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BC, a cataclysmic event. The loss was a spiritual earthquake, leaving a void in Jewish hearts. Yet, even in exile, hope flickered. Prophets like Jeremiah spoke of a day when a new temple would rise. This promise sustained the Jewish people through centuries of persecution and displacement. For many Jews, the Third Temple represents more than just a physical structure. It represents a return to biblical worship, a restoration of the ancient covenants, a time when God's presence will once again dwell among his people. It's a vision deeply rooted in the Torah, in the very fabric of Jewish identity. Imagine for a moment the sights and sounds of the Third Temple in full operation. Priests, clothed in their sacred garments, would perform the daily sacrifices, the aroma of incense filling the air. Levites, skilled in music, would sing psalms of praise, their voices echoing through the temple courts. Pilgrims from all corners of the earth would flock to Jerusalem, bringing their offerings and prayers to this sacred space. The festivals of Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot would once again be celebrated with unparalleled joy and devotion, uniting the Jewish people in a tapestry of faith and tradition. The Third Temple, in this sense, represents a return to spiritual wholeness, a time when the brokenness of exile will be healed and the ancient promises will be fulfilled. It's a vision that stirs the hearts of many Jews, a beacon of hope in a world often characterized by uncertainty and fragmentation. The Third Temple is linked to the coming of the Messiah, who will restore Israel and usher in peace. This connection is rooted in prophecy, foreseeing God's ruler reigning from Jerusalem. Isaiah spoke of the Lord's house being established and raised above the hills. All nations shall flow to it. Isaiah 2:2. This vision links the Third Temple to the Messianic era, where it will play a central role. Some traditions suggest the Messiah will oversee its construction, a testament to his divine authority. Others believe the temple's construction will be a sign, announcing the Messiah's arrival. Regardless of interpretation, the connection between the Third Temple and the Messiah is undeniable. It fuels the hopes and dreams of many Jews, reminding them of God's promises and his plan for redemption. The Third Temple is a prophecy with profound implications for Jews and Christians alike. It intersects with history, politics, and faith, uniting and dividing. Navigate these waters with wisdom, discernment, and respect. Prophecy is not a crystal ball, but a divine tapestry. It requires careful interpretation and humble dependence on the Holy Spirit. Focus on the God of prophecy, not dates and timelines. Prepare our hearts, live faithfully, and be vessels of his love. The Third Temple points us to Jesus Christ, the true temple. The path to the Third Temple is shrouded in mist, its twists and turns obscured by the fog of history, politics, and religious fervor. Even as we've journeyed together, exploring its biblical foundations, its geopolitical implications, and its profound spiritual significance, the ultimate outcome remains a mystery held in the hands of God alone. Will the temple be rebuilt in our lifetime, a physical manifestation of ancient prophecies? Or will it remain a symbol, a testament to the enduring hope that burns within the hearts of believers? These are questions that echo through the corridors of time, questions that have no easy answers. What we do know is this: the world is watching, holding its breath as events in Jerusalem unfold with increasing intensity. The stage is set, the actors are in place, and the drama of the ages is reaching its climax. But as believers, we are not called to be passive spectators, swept along by the currents of history. We are called to be people of prayer, to intercede for the peace of Jerusalem, for wisdom for its leaders, and for restraint from those who would exploit this volatile situation for their own gain. The Third Temple prophecy serves as a powerful reminder that we are living in extraordinary times, a time when the very foundations of our world seem to be shifting beneath our feet. The rise of globalization, the resurgence of religious fervor, and the ever-present threat of conflict. These are signs of the times, harbingers of a world in flux. In the midst of this turmoil, it's easy to become overwhelmed, to lose our footing on the shifting sands of uncertainty. But as believers, we have an anchor that holds fast, our faith in Jesus Christ. The best is yet to come, friends.